Hi everyone, this is the Week 3 presentation over the article Tools and Techniques of Effective Second or Foreign Language Teaching by Donna M. Brinton. I'm Glenn Scattergood, speaking on behalf of myself and Wendy Carreto Aguilar. This article mainly focused on the procedure of the classroom and what things teachers should keep in mind as they conduct their lesson, as well as a few things to consider for the future. The three main topics I'm going to talk about are pair and group work, teacher-classroom discourse, and visuals. I will address how these are valuable and effective tools and what teachers need to consider to make these tools even more effective. First, I want to talk about pair and group work. This includes not only pair work, but also small and big group work, as well as whole class group work. Each of these provide a benefit to the students that individual work cannot. While they are some of the most positive types of SLA practices for students, they need to be balanced with each other. Some of the major benefits of group work are that they provide valuable comprehensible input from peers, as well as provide vital opportunities for students to produce comprehensible output, which allows students to push and experiment with their language learning in low anxiety settings. This should allow students to practice and foster social language in addition to academic language, as most students will talk to each other using social language, but must also address the question or topic and the teacher using academic language. It also allows students to take control of their own learning by determining the type of language and speed at which the students discuss and learn new ideas. In my experience, pair work is more suited to smaller topics, like specific grammar tenses, phrases, and concepts, while group work is better at dealing with more complex situations, like debating. However, it is up to the teacher to decide how to implement each practice. A few things for teachers to consider when implementing group or pair work is that there might be some culture or language conflict between the students. However, there are some steps that teachers can take to diffuse these types of situations or hopefully prevent them. Any type of icebreaker activity or an activity that allows students to get to know each other or share personal information should help them bond and come to a better understanding of one another. Teachers also need to be aware that students using their L1 in group or pair work can be a valuable tool, but they should also set rules or restrictions on how much or for what purpose the L1 may be used. Students need to know that while their L1 can help scaffold learning, it can also become a crutch if they rely on it too much. Factors that need to be considered when grouping or pairing students are what kind of activity it is and what the purpose is. Only then should the teacher decide how students are paired. One way is to have stronger proficiency students in a group and have weaker students in another. Or students can be mixed with strong and weak students paired or grouped together. Each of these pairings has benefits and drawbacks. Pairing stronger students together allows the teacher to focus more on weaker pairs and allows the stronger students to take control of their own learning and study pace. But mixing students together allows stronger students to become a secondary teacher, expressing a different type of output while hopefully providing new comprehensible input to the weaker students. Another factor to consider is that some students might not understand why they are working in groups or pairs, or simply not like the activity. So it's vital for teachers to clearly define the activity's purpose, goals, and rationale. The teacher discourse topic I want to initially address is classroom warm-ups and their importance. First, they allow students to enter the classroom and shift their mindset from the outside environment to the classroom environment. Second, it creates a positive atmosphere that should encourage students to engage with the teacher and with each other. I will note that teachers should try to connect the theme of the warm-up to the theme of the lesson for that day. Teachers can also use this time to review any past material that students may have struggled with or have questions about before moving on to the new topic. Third, this time is important because we all have students who show up late, and while we want to establish that students need to be on time to class, the warm-up phase allows them to come in late without completely disrupting the classroom or missing any vital new information. Fourth, warm-ups are also a great way to help students to get to know each other better and bond as a class. Students can learn details about each other that will help them better cooperate inside and outside of the classroom. The article also presents some ideas about what teachers can do for warm-ups. Games are an excellent warm-up exercise. They can either be simple or a bit complex, depending on such factors as student age and/or proficiency level. A matching game with pictures would be a great way to review vocabulary, especially for younger and beginner students. The teacher can also have students ask each other questions about things they've done. If the teacher can discover music that is related to the theme of the lesson, they can play it as students walk into the classroom. The teacher can ask students their thoughts and opinions on the song and the related theme. Students could also brainstorm about new topics during warm-ups, or to share their ideas and comments on the subject before learning any new information. Likewise, this exercise can be repeated at the end of the lesson, and students can discuss what they've learned and if their ideas have changed based on the new information. The next teacher discourse topic concerns teacher feedback and error correction, and I want to address the major categories of student errors. First, there are competence errors and performance errors. Competence errors are mistakes students make because they do not understand something, while performance errors are mistakes made while a student is trying to express a larger idea. Next are global and local errors. Global errors are mistakes that inhibit another person's ability to understand what the speaker is saying, while local errors are mistakes that the speaker makes which do not affect overall understandability. Again, identifying these two types of errors is important, because we do not want to consistently disrupt or halt language practice and fluidity. Local errors that teachers choose to correct should be influenced by the focus of the class. The article also discusses slips, errors, and attempts. Slips are mistakes that students can usually correct once the mistake has been pointed out to them. Errors are mistakes that require an explanation, while attempts are mistakes a student make while trying to explain something else that they do not know how to say in the L2. The article introduces a new concept for me, which is the two types of response a teacher can give a student's mistake: initiation response evaluation, or IRE, and initiation response feedback, or IRF. In IRE, the teacher asks a student or a group of students a question, and after someone gives a response, the teacher then evaluates whether it was the correct answer or not and gives a brief reply. In IRF, the teacher asks a question or introduces a topic to a student or group of students, and after a response, the teacher looks to further the discussion or conversation, providing more time for interaction among the students. While I believe that both of these have a place in the classroom, I think it is important to note that IRF does have some key advantages over IRE. IRF looks to include more students into a conversation and allows students to expand their ideas and comments. The article also references some feedback and correction techniques like explicit correction, where you simply correct the student's mistake, and recast, which has the teacher repeat the word or phrase correctly. I find explicit correction necessary when the student simply doesn't know or understand what the correct word or phrase should be, and I mainly use recast to help with pronunciation. I prefer to use oral or written cueing, where I highlight the part of the phrase that is incorrect and allow the student the opportunity to correct it themselves. Teachers can also appeal to other students to help locate and correct a mistake. Something we should all be aware of is how to best present lesson information. Britton's article described doing this two different ways: using deductive presentation, which has the teacher present the rules of a grammar tense, phrase, or vocabulary word first, and then provide examples of those rules. Or by using inductive presentation, which has the teacher present the examples to the students first, then lead the students to identify the rules on their own. It should be noted that each has advantages and disadvantages, and these should first be carefully considered before implementation. Deductive presentation gets straight to the point of the rule and is generally more efficient, and this is what many students will expect from the teacher. However, inductive presentation actively engages learners and helps foster autonomous learning. Additionally, there are two major categories of questions a teacher can ask during lesson presentation: display questions, which checks for a correct answer or one of many correct answers, and a referential question, which asks students to come up with their own interpretations or answers. Display questions are important because they are a valuable tool for teachers to check student comprehension, and they should not be ignored. However, referential questions give teachers and students an opportunity to do much more. They allow students to stretch and push their linguistic ability and provide a chance to collaborate with one another. Referential questions include a wide spectrum, but some examples are inference, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation questions. It's important to keep in mind that these types of questions will challenge students and we must try not to overwhelm them. Another factor, often overlooked by teachers, is the importance of wait time. Some people find silence and wait time very uncomfortable, and I will sometimes find myself rushing a student to answer after asking them a question. However, waiting for longer periods of time between asking the question and expecting a response from the student has been proven to be beneficial for L2 speakers. While the article recommends counting to 3 after asking a question, I have seen some scholars recommend anywhere from 5 up to 10 seconds of wait time. Another approach we can use is to ask the question to the group, allow them a certain amount of time to come up with an answer, and then call on the student to provide their response. A version of this would be to ask a question, then announce to the class that they have 1 minute to write down a response. The teacher then calls on several students or one student to provide their answers. Teachers can further reduce student anxiety during wait time by looking away while a student is forming their response. In my opinion, one of the strongest aids a teacher can use in the second language classroom is a visual aid. Some students are visual learners, and these types of aids are key to optimizing their ability to understand content. There are many types of visual media, such as pictures, drawings, posters, graphic images, as well as films and slideshows. Pictures can include things like digital photos, clip art, and other images pulled from the internet. Magazine photos and pictures are another great resource. Drawings can either be very advanced, if you or a student is particularly talented, or they can be very simple, like stick figures, which is my go-to form of drawing. Teachers can post graphics or images on the white or blackboard, or hang posters inside of the classroom. Movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos are great sources for visual aids. YouTube is especially helpful because the service itself doesn't cost any extra money and in most cases is easily accessible by both teacher and student. Teachers or students could also make slideshows as visual aids. I really want to emphasize graphic organizers because there are so many types of variations for teachers to utilize. Although there are numerous examples, graphic organizers include such things as diagrams, charts, maps, timelines, grids, and matrices, storyboards, KWL, or know, want to know, learn charts. Graphic organizers help students identify text structure and organization. They can also help them unpack difficult or complex ideas by presenting information in digestible bits, and allows them to recall more information. Students can make idea webs or word webs, which lets them brainstorm ideas and provides further context and scaffolding. Students can better experiment and explore the lexicon of a subject, and key content is much easier to identify and highlight when a student utilizes graphic organizers. The last thing I want to discuss is the use of technology in the classroom and how technology can impact learning in the future. Technology gives teachers new avenues to provide group or pair work to students, both inside and outside of the classroom. Teachers have more resources to pull topics, images, and questions from, and teachers can use technology to provide both corrections and feedback in a variety of ways, such as emails, blogs, and voice or text messages. It also provides new forms of input and output for students and makes a lot of information instantly retrievable. Students are no longer limited by physical or paper dictionaries and can access vocabulary through the internet or through electronic dictionaries, which are extremely popular in Japan. These digital dictionaries are continuously updated with new words and sentence examples, so students have greater access to contemporary vocabulary. Blogs and podcasts have also become extremely popular, and they allow students a different means to retrieve and express information, and can provide students with valuable feedback from people other than their teacher. Our question was, in your own experience as an ESL or EFL teacher, what are some of the challenges you might encounter in implementing pair or group work in the setting where you teach or will teach? We look forward to reading your responses and interacting with you in the discussion board.